members voted. Does any member wish to change their vote?
On this vote, the yeas are 311 and the nays are 93. The yeas are 316, the nays are 94. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
House will be in order. The House will be in order. Members are asked to take their conversations off the floor. House will be in order. This doesn't seem to be quite as firm. Please remove your conversations from the floor and please clear the well. The chair lays before the House an enrolled resolution.
House Joint Resolution 98, Joint Resolution providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code of the rules submitted by the National Labor Relations Board relating to standard for determining joint employer status.
The House will be in order. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the Chair will postpone further proceedings today on motions to suspend the rules, on which a recorded vote or the yeas and nays are ordered, or votes objected to under Clause 6 of Rule 20. The House will resume proceedings on postponed questions at a later time. For what purpose does the gentleman from Alabama seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass Bill H.R. 3602 as amended.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 3602, a bill to prohibit the intentional hindering of immigration, border, and customs controls and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Moore, and the gentleman from New York, Mr. Nadler, will each control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Alabama. This will be in order. Please take your conversations off the floor.
Mr. Speaker,
the House will be in order. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and to insert extraneous material on H.R. 3602.
Without objection.
I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, President Trump secured our borders. Then just over 3 years ago, Joe Biden took the office of president and immediately did exactly what he had promised on the campaign trail to do.
The House is not in order. Please take your conversations off the floor. The House will be in order. Gentleman is recognized.
Joe Biden took to the office of president and immediately did exactly what he had promised on the campaign trail to do. He reversed the Trump administration's immigration policies. By doing so, the new president let the world know that America's borders are open. President Biden rescinded the Remain in Mexico policy, prevented the removal of illegal aliens, and blocked immigration and customs enforcement and Customs and Border Protection from enforcing immigration laws. In the weeks and months that followed, President Biden terminated the Trump-era policies aimed at preventing fraudulent asylum claims, ending catch and release, increasing criminal alien removals, and preventing illegal immigration. And we're still in the midst of the Biden administration's extended result, the biggest mass illegal immigration in the history of the United States. More than 7.6 million illegal aliens have been encountered by CBP on the southwest border. There have been 38 straight months with more than 100,000 southwest border CBP encounters. The Biden administration has released nearly 4.7 million illegal aliens into America's communities, in addition to at least 1.8 million known gotaways avoiding apprehension. At least 357 illegal aliens on the terrorist watch list have been encountered by the Border Patrol along the southwest border. No doubt more have evaded detection. And all of this is just on the southwest border. Our northern border is also seeing record high numbers of illegal aliens encountered by CBP. Early last year, House Republicans acted to secure our border. We passed H.R. 2 to secure the Border Act, to end the abuse of U.S. immigration system, whether by the administration's cartels or the illegal aliens themselves. Had Senate Democrat leadership not refocused or refused to debate H.R. 2 on the Senate floor for more than 330 days, perhaps we would not still have a mass lawlessness on our border. In the meantime, we keep reading media reports that President Biden is looking to use his executive authority to quell the border chaos. But each time, the open borders advocates tell Joe Biden not to use that authority, and each time he bends to their wishes. Americans are outraged that our own federal government turns a blind eye to the chaos that has been created. Americans are tired of seeing mobs of illegal aliens beating up New York police officers, watching endless numbers of illegal aliens stream across the southwest border, and hearing the heart-wrenching details of the deaths of innocent young men and women, including a U.S. Senate staffer, caused by illegal aliens who should not have been here in the first place. So today, House Republicans are trying again to make our Democrat colleagues and President Biden take this border crisis seriously. H.R. 3602 will restore successful Trump-era policies and remove the rewards and incentives the Democrats have used to entice people to violate our own nation's sovereignty. Division A includes provisions in the Homeland Security Committee's jurisdiction that help secure our border. For instance, it includes provisions to require border wall construction, to increase the number of Border Patrol agents and provide them with bonus pay, and to deploy additional technology to that border. Division B includes provisions in the jurisdiction of the Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Title I reforms the asylum process to deter fraudulent asylum claims from aliens, including economic migrants, and ensures that aliens granted asylum are truly being persecuted by their existing government. Title II.
Gentlemen will suspend. Please take your conversations off the floor. Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Title II ends the Biden administration's catch-and-release policies by clarifying that the DHS Secretary must remove and detain illegal aliens who arrive at the border or place them into Remain in Mexico-type programs. There are no other options. The aliens cannot be paroled or otherwise released into the U.S. unless an immigration judge grants that alien asylum or some other immigration benefit. Title III directs the Secretary of State to renegotiate successful Trump policies, asylum cooperative agreements, and Remain in Mexico program with his diplomatic counterparts. Title IV fixes the disastrous Flores settlement that rewards illegal aliens who rent or buy children to pose as family units to avoid detention. Instead, it keeps legitimate families together as they await adjudication in their asylum claims. Title V requires that unaccompanied alien children be immediately and safely returned to their home country, as we already do for unaccompanied children from Mexico and Canada. Rather than trafficked, abandoned, and then exploited in our own country, it helps our government's role in child smuggling and trafficking, a role that is morally reprehensible. Title VI applies the same penalties for visa overstays as we currently do for illegal border crossings. Under current law, it is a misdemeanor to cross the border illegally, a felony to cross it repeatedly, and yet only a civil infraction to overstay your visa. Title VII ends the Biden administration's abuse of parole authority, abuses which circumvent immigration law. Parole is inherently a case-by-case review based on individual circumstances in which the rigors of the law are inappropriate. Parole by category isn't parole. It's a new law by fiat. Instead, such changes must be considered passed by Congress in a nation that respects the rule of law. Title VIII, finally, creates two grant programs. The first provides funding for states to construct or improve border barriers and border technology. The second reimburses states for money spent on law enforcement activities related to the border. H.R. 3602 will help end the border chaos and ensure respect for U.S. immigration laws. With that, sir, I'll reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I grant myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in opposition to this foolhardy attempt to pass for a second time one of the most draconian immigration bills this Congress has ever seen. This rehashing of H.R. 2 is a joke. They say that the definition of insanity is trying something over and over but expecting different results. Yet here we are, debating a bill once again that continues to have no chance of being enacted into law. We know that because H.R. 2 has been brought up and failed twice in the Senate, most recently garnering a mere 32 votes. This is nothing more than pure political theater. I truly don't know what it is that the Speaker wants us to suspend, the rules of the House or our disbelief. My Republican colleagues continue to show us that they are not interested in finding real solutions to tough issues. Let's be very clear about what this legislation would do. This bill serves as a wholesale ban on asylum and the end of parole. No one would be able to seek asylum in the United States if they crossed between ports of entry, or if they had or could have had even temporary status in a third country. The last time we considered this bill, Democrats offered a variety of amendments to exempt the most vulnerable from some of these requirements. This included those fleeing communist and totalitarian regimes and unaccompanied children. The majority was not willing to exempt children under a year old. When it comes to parole, Republicans were not willing to support codifying the vital Uniting for Ukraine parole program, which has aided over 100,000 Ukrainians fleeing Putin's unlawful invasion of Ukraine. This is not serious legislation. Given their slim margins, it is unclear that Republicans could even pass H.R. 2 in its entirety today. As such, the majority had to make some tweaks to the bill to try to convince any Republican holdouts that their marquee bill is a good idea. For example, this version removes H.R. 2's nationwide E-Verify mandate. If passed into law, this would have decimated our economy, especially our agriculture sector. Some Republicans previously voted no because of this provision, but removing this title appears to be doing little for the bill's prospects. Other Republicans, including the chairman of the Immigration Subcommittee, support this provision and have expressed concern over its removal. This whole exercise is a huge waste of our time. Not only does this bill not have the votes in the Senate, it probably does not even have the votes to pass the House today. In what appears to be an effort to gain the support of Mr. Roy, an early opponent of the Speaker's approach to the foreign aid package, the E-Verify section was replaced with a new grant program to reimburse states for, quote, enforcing immigration law, unquote. The state of Texas for the money Governor Greg Abbott has spent defying our federal system with Operation Lone Star, even though numerous components of this operation have been ruled unlawful by the courts. If the hope was that this provision would earn the support of Mr. Roy, it seems to have failed, since we are only considering this bill under suspension because he and others wouldn't even support moving this bill out of the Rules Committee. So not only is this not serious legislation, this is not a serious process. And let's remember how we got here. After passing H.R. 2 in May of last year, Republicans spent the next 7 months saying that H.R. 2 was the only way to secure the border, even though they know that it cannot become law, having been so overwhelmingly rejected by the Senate. Then they insisted that the price of helping protect Ukraine against Russian aggression was enacting harsh border enforcement legislation. Senate Republicans even managed to convince some Democrats to agree to a border bill in the Senate, a bill that Minority Leader McConnell called the toughest border bill in 30 years. But Republicans could not take yes for an answer. Donald Trump said that he didn't want to do anything that might help at the border in an election year because he wants immigration as a campaign issue. Other Republicans said it out loud too, saying they don't want to, quote, do too damn much to help a Democrat, close quote. Folding to the cult of Donald Trump, and just hours after the 370-page text of this bill was released, Speaker Johnson declared the bill dead on arrival in the Senate, and that bill was released. Speaker Johnson declared the bill dead on arrival in the House, with the rest of the Republican conference quickly falling in line. Republicans showed clearly what Democrats have been saying over and over again, that they don't want to do anything that would help address our broken immigration system. They just want to talk tough without doing the hard work of actually legislating. Now, this version of H.R. 2 is being sent to the floor to give Republicans cover to vote for necessary aid for our allies, Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. If this political theater and show vote of this bill is what they need to pass vital aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, then fine. But let's not pretend we're accomplishing anything here today. This is a waste of our time. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Alabama is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 5 minutes to the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Siscomani.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my friend from Alabama for yielding me time. I'm glad to see this body taking up my border security legislation today alongside these important other packages as well. Now, the gentleman from New York calls this a joke. Well, I don't know what he finds funny, but nothing about this situation is funny. It's not funny to our Border Patrol agents. It's not funny to my border communities. And it's certainly not funny to the hundreds of thousands of women and children being trafficked by the Mexican cartels in our southern border. There's nothing funny about this situation. Let's be clear. Our border is broken and has been for a long time. And at a time where our world is most dangerous than ever, and our adversaries are emboldened, protecting our homeland is our most critical priority. Attacks by our adversaries have spurred the urgent need to support our allies. Congress should be able and must do both. And it all starts with a secure border, Mr. Speaker. This bill takes major strides in addressing our porous border. It would immediately restart construction of the border wall, end the disastrous catch and release policies, and streamline the asylum process. We have seen policies that work, including Remain in Mexico and the silent cooperative agreements in the Northern Triangle. This bill would start the process of going back to those policies and, in turn, stem the flow we're seeing. The United States Congress is the most powerful body in the world. We must be able to support our allies while we protect our homeland as well. The world is looking to America for strength, and our country is looking to Washington for leadership. The administration is nowhere to be found, has been nowhere to be found. We must step up and fill the gaps the White House has left by their weakened foreign and domestic policies and stances. Since January of 2021, there have been more than 7.6 million migrant encounters in our southwestern border. In addition to this staggering 7.6 million, estimates suggest